Oh,
All
come
right.
on.
I'm just fucking with you. Cut. Get the lighting right.
Welcome to Final Thoughts Podcast, brought to you by CrossfaderLA.com, blending culture and creativity.
All right, guys. Welcome to Vinyl Thoughts Podcast. The trio is back in the building, and we're going to talk about another hot, maybe not so hot album that dropped
Hater
last
alert.
week.
Hater
Oh,
alert. Hater alert.
yeah, no
Hater
kidding.
alert.
I just said I just said maybe, maybe not. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I didn't say it wasn't. I'm just, I can't give all the information now. We gotta have some Easter eggs for the show. So, anyway, welcome to Vinyl Thoughts Podcast. All right, so let's dive into our normal format. We talk about the news, we talk about our singles, and then we talk about an album. And we're gonna kick it off with the news of the week. My news article for this week is Roc Nation merges into the Roc Nation label distribution. And so what that means is that the new platform caters to artists' needs and offers services to marketing, publishing, administration, and data analytics. So previously, it was only a label that catered to artists that own their own masters. They've reformatted it now to basically include other artists that do not necessarily have their own masters, but they are giving them more creative control. They're giving them access to the analytics and then also other services that come equated with the Roc Nation ecosystem. So that's my quick news of the week. Shout out to, I thought Jay actually was the owner or part owner. I don't know if he still is. There was a lot of artists that initially bought into this Tidal streaming service, but as of most recently, it seems like some of those artists such as Beyonce, Lil Wayne, and some other people may have tapped out, and now it's just strictly owned by the Block and Inspiro company. All right, send it off to either Jeremiah or Jonathan.
And the news today is not an article per se, but a phenomenon, a thing that a certain presidential candidate did, which was that Donald Trump over the week posted an AI-generated ad campaign of Taylor Swift endorsing him for president. And that has a lot of people up in arms, buzzing. So it has the Swifties in conversation because, Taylor Swift, as far as we know, has not said that she is endorsing Donald Trump. So using AI in this way to say, hey, this really huge person, this huge audience that endorses me is, one, I think technically speaking, a crime. And two, is just another example of how dangerous AI is becoming in our day and age and how quickly it can be used to spread misinformation and, just really create narratives that don't exist. So right now, Taylor Swift and her team have not responded yet to the use of her image in this way, but Taylor Swift has been on record for being against AI and use of her image, as we know from back earlier this year. She sued someone for making not safe for images of her likeness with AI. So we know that her team is experienced with this concept of matter. So some people are just waiting to see if and how she'll respond to the Trump campaign use of her image in this way.
I have two thoughts about this one. One, yes. I feel like as a fact, and I always feel like I think it's an important fact that goes along with the story. While Taylor Swift has not endorsed anybody in the election this year, as I'm aware, she very much did endorse Joe Biden in 2020. And she was very much vocal about wanting to vote out Donald Trump. So that's the crazy portion right there. She very clearly is not. I mean, I guess I don't want to speak for her. It's been 4 years. Maybe she did some soul searching and she's changed her opinions. But I think it's a bit of a stretch. I think that she's going to come out and say that she decided this year she's all for 47. She's on board 47.
I mean, I agree with you, but I can't say, oh yeah, she's endorsed Kamala Harris this year, because she just hasn't, But I agree.
She very clearly didn't endorse Donald Trump last time. I think that's very. I think that context is very helpful when the conversation is had. And the second thing I wanted to point out is, whereas, like, okay, AI image of Taylor Swift saying she wants to do it over Donald Trump, right? It's crazy. But I sit here, I was thinking about this last night, I think, and I was like, it's crazy, and I get the headline, but couldn't you just go to Canva and take a picture of Taylor Swift and put like, I endorse Donald Trump, and then like it would technically be the same thing? Like, I just think what I'm trying to get at isn't isn't about the morality. It's like the technicality of it. You could have done this with Canva like 10 years ago, I guess, like if you really wanted. And I think that's kind of silly. That like you could always do it. It's just that now we have AI, people make it seem like it's a different thing. Like it's still the same thing if you would have done it with Canva.
Photoshop.
It still would have been in Photoshop. I think it still should have been. And I would assume the weight of it would be the same if you did it with Photoshop. It would still be wrong. It'd still be, I would assume, illegal to lie like that. So I just think it's super interesting that now that AI has changed the conversation, when I feel like it's still the same conversation that you could have had about Photoshop or Canva or whatever photo editing platform you would use.
Right. I think I don't inherently disagree. I think there is a conversation to be had about AI making faster and more convincing edits of things than the average Photoshop person could do. I think which is a concern. I think that plus, whereas like back in 2010 you could do that with Canva or Photoshop, right? But you couldn't the same way make a video of someone saying that, whereas nowadays you can.
That's true. That's a good point. That's true.
Right. The big concern is that even if the image is like whatever, if it's unchallenged, it kind of paves the path. Then they'd be like, oh, you know what? Let's just make a video from one of our concerts for being like, let's go Trump. And like, people, like I think you and I and like us here would probably like quickly figure out it's fake, but not everybody would, because everyone like has the same like background like tech savviness that we do. So like, this is something to be aware of as like AI gets more and more.
I mean, kind of how I thought Snoop Dogg was actually rapping with Drake.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. But I just had the thought, because the image he posted is just it's really just a picture of Taylor Swift with the words "I endorse you" on it. Like, like you really could have done that in Photoshop. So it's just kind of silly to me that he even did it. Like it was something different. Like it was something crazy. Like it's silly. It's silly and it's immature. That's the word I'm gonna use today. It's an immature action for somebody.
Yeah, I mean,
at the least.
I would use the word desperate.
You know what? That's a good word too.
I mean, now you're reaching.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know he's also used like AI to endorse images of Kamala Harris for like similar like things, just like using it as a shortcut. I feel like to kind of get these points across. That is just distasteful. Is I think the word I would use.
I started dying laughing when I saw that image of Kamala Harris and the communist, and it's like everything's red and it's like super ominous. I could not help but laugh when I saw that, because it was just like it's just so silly. Like, what are you doing over there?
Well, let's clarify. It's not DT himself. It's his team that's orchestrating these moves. So
yeah. But I agree. I also feel really over top and silly. But I just worry about people who don't have our background in internet literacy and who are more likely to just believe things they see, being like, this must mean, anything. But we'll see.
Agree, 100%. All right, let's talk about John's fantastic news of the week.
Mine's pure rumor and speculative. So yeah, if you want to ignore me, feel free to go and put your tinfoil hat on. Feel free to put your tinfoil hat on as well.
Sure.
But word on the street rumor is that Drake and Lil Gotti have some beef. Make the light go off.
Oh, I thought it was cool to ignore this one, because Drake. I thought let's go step back real quick and I got a bite to eat, But
no, you're on the clock. You're on the clock. You gotta. You can't.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's leaving your post. Anyways, rumor word on the street, speculatively, Drake and Lil Yachty have some beef all of a sudden. For the I'll get to the core of it. I'm not gonna go through all the details here, but the core of it is rumor has it Drake's about to drop the single Super Soaker that him and Yachty made together. Lil Yachty leaked it a couple weeks, months back. Father talked about it because there was a Soulja Boy diss in there, and Soulja Boy was on Twitter talking about it. But it was a leak because Lil Yachty said he couldn't get the sample cleared, yada, yada, yada. Rumor has it that Drake is going to drop the song with a music video coming out, I'm assuming, in the next 2 weeks, and Lil Yachty's not going to be on it. I'm definitely taking this with a grain of salt because it's all conjecture and just hearsay at this point, but Drake did unfollow Lil Yachty on Instagram. And we know how Drake feels about Instagram. We know he takes that very seriously. So, Lil Yachty's supposed to be his boy. He's not following him anymore. I don't know. This could be another war for Drake to battle axe. But it's all rumors, so feel free to ignore me. But if it happens, you can say you heard it here first.
I'm crashing out.
I think Drake's 3 singles were good, but we can save that the conversation for another day.
Do you think on today's episode we'll continue the streak of X person dissing Drake?
Well, if it continues to happen, yes, we will. If next week somebody else comes out, if Kamala Harris comes out and says, I can't stand Drake, we gonna talk about it.
Hey, Kamala Harris did play Not Like Us at a rally.
Man, that's so funny. God.
So there it is. All right, we're just gonna report the facts as they happen, right? So.
As they happen.
Single seconds. It is. My single second for the week is a song by Latto and Megan Thee Stallion called "Squeeze," and it's a new track, and I just don't think that Megan Thee Stallion is capable of putting out a bad single.
I wanna squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it, squeeze it.
I think every single we've heard from her is a bop, it's a hit, and I think this song is no exception. The beat is really fun, the way that Megan raps on it, and her like signature style, it just really works well with what I was doing on the song, and it's just a good time.
I heard Lotto stole Drake's flow.
Well, fuck Drake. I'm not here defending Drake's flow. I wasn't the last person to be like, oh yeah.
Man, I thought we were going to talk about Drake.
I mean,
Lotto. I hope I'm not crazy. I think Lotto's on the 3 tracks released. Lotto is a feature on those tracks, so we're
yes, that's correct.
We're close enough.
You mean the 3 non-charting tracks from Drake that just came out, right?
Oh, they charted.
They charted.
They charted.
I looked at it today, but the most I forgot the one with 21 Savage and Young Thug actually number 28. So
it's a good song.
It's hot. It's a good song,
but
even DJ Academic said that it's only doing well because Young Thug and 21 Savage are on it.
Okay,
so
you know
that
what?
came out of DJ Academic's mouth.
DJ Academic said that?
Isn't this on trial for like? Is Shirley be in jail or something? Like what are we doing? What's he doing out here? Just
Which one?
Keep off this shit, man.
Which one? Young Thug is in court proceedings. I'm assuming he's on house arrest. I don't think he's in jail. Maybe he is. Well, no, right? He might. Go ahead. It's like
no, he's like being sued for like a pretty bad crime. That would say from Delon has a pretty bad crime that is on video apparently. So like, right? This is something we talked about back in like last months ago. And every time we talk about him, I'm just kind of like, man, why is he like in jail yet? Or like talking to a lawyer or something like that. Why does he keep giving off
that's
these
how the
like
OVO? That's how the OVO camp rolls. That's what.
That is how the OVO camp rolls.
I guess that's true.
It sounds like Drake is still sending him information, so I guess Drake's still rolling with him,
Yes, he is. Allegedly.
That's true. Allegedly. Academics could be lying his ass off. What if Drake sent Academics a cease and desist? That'd be fun. So I guess it's my turn for a single.
Yeah.
My single is "Bad Boys 2" with Joey Pert. Oh no, it's Chance the Rapper's song. Chance the Rapper is gearing up for his next album that is going to win back all his fans. He swears. After his major flop with The Big Day, he's taking some time. He's working on his pen. I'm not gonna lie, everything Chance has dropped, including this one, has been hot on his comeback tour. And I said, everything Chance has dropped has been hot on this comeback, I'm gonna call it a tour. And I think this album's gonna be pretty good. We're definitely gonna be talking about it here when it drops. Without a doubt. Indubitably. So
A live reaction?
it deserves one. It deserves one.
I agree. I think I want to see John's face when either Chance the Rapper rises from the grave and proves all his haters wrongs, or sinks farther into the cave with shit like himself. I want to see John's face as that happens in real time.
I
Only one way to
don't know how
find
I
out.
feel. Yeah, we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see.
Has
All right,
Chance the
fine.
Rapper
go
extinguished
ahead.
your hope yet, or do you cling to it? Like someone clings to a raft in the ocean.
Chance fans cling to it for sure. We all believe in him.
Okay.
I don't think Chance is bad at all. So
He only had one bad album.
He has a good chance.
Honestly, I think one bad album that's not an artist make. I mean, say we're covering Logic, who I think has had some bad albums. I think Logic's pretty good. So like, I don't really think Chance is like washed. But if this album is bad, then I will be like, all right, buddy, maybe you just go work at like Big Lots or something. I don't know, right?
Big Lots? Why Big Lots?
You're right. That's pretty mean. They're like a Target.
good.
Damn.
Pretty respectable.
He could be a feature
Oh,
artist.
When's the last feature he's been on? Like
I said it, and I was like, he's not a feature in a minute. That guy's. There's no one's checking for Chance the Rapper anymore.
So mine is short and sweet and simple. The name of the single is called "Love Is Blue," featuring Aloe Black, and it's by Blue and Exile. Blue and Exile have a history of dropping. They dropped an amazing first album, Under the Heavens, which we all can go back and call it. I know it doesn't get the accolades that a lot of albums do, but it is a classic, at least in my book or whatever. Maybe
I'd
the
second
underground classics. I think it's a great album. They've put out some other songs that haven't quite as hit as hard, but this song that came out, "Love Is Blue," is actually pretty good. So I'm hoping that the rest of the album sounds just as
Love
good.
is here, love is blue, love is me, the same love is in you too. Love is, love is, love is, love is. Love the ominous world, even if they drop bomb in this world. Xavier died in this apocalypse world. The GOD's in me, I see that I am not from this world. You can tell the way the prayers get forgotten in this world. I promise this world, I'ma give my mama this world after I change it.
I know that our single seconds of the week are about things that are current, but I gotta mention this song that I came across that came out in 2011, and it's Mac Miller, Static Selector, and Terminology, and the song is called 8292.
I'ma let the beat ride out for a little bit, you know what I mean? Just so y'all can feel what I'm feeling. Alright, now that we on the same page, alright, look. Hey, we be making that classic shit, rapping on some static kids, immaculate maggot spaz, and laughing at all these average kids. Be with the baddest bitch, style so miraculous, and you heard me spit, but you don't even know the half of it.
If you haven't heard it, you need to go check it out. It's a freaking dope ass hype track. It was my first time listening to it. I went to see if it was on an album. It's not on an album. It may have been something that was just on Bandcamp or SoundCloud or something, but it's on DSPs because I found it on YouTube Music. So it's out there. But if you haven't heard it, check it out. It's really dope.
Nice. There you go. Actually, in that similar vein, I know talking about like singles and stuff and news, but being selfish, I saw a concert this past Saturday. That was pretty good. I saw Sarah Bareilles at the Hollywood Bowl. Very dope. It was Sarah Bareilles featuring an orchestra and featuring Renee Gold from Hamilton. Very good, very excellent experience, and it makes me want to hear more artists have an album of theirs reimagined, but with an orchestral what's the word? recompositioning of their tracks, because in this case it sounded really good.
Nice.
With all that being said, we should dive into our album this week.
Let's go. Let's do it.
That is, I think, the logical thing to do. Welcome to Vinyl Thoughts album review, this week featuring Logic's new album called, John?
Ultra 85.
Round the money.
Ultra 85.
Yeah, Ultra 85.
Ultra 85.
Yes, no, yeah, you're right.
All right, so wait. So you guys know more about the album than I do. So
I do.
Give me a little
We do?
backstory about.
No, come out. Wait. What makes you say that?
What do you think? What do you think we know that you don't know?
Yeah, what's the final step in there?
Well, what I thought you guys knew was that this is like a long anticipated album that he's been waiting to put out, and like there was.
Oh, it is. I'm just messing with you. It's a very long anticipated album that he's been waiting to put out. I did do some research. This was supposed to be the conclusion to a trilogy. We have the. It was originally supposed to be the his last album. It was originally supposed to be kind of what No Pressure was. His last album, his goodbye, was going to conclude the story that I believe. So my understanding is the story would have followed first album Under Pressure, second album The Incredible True Story, and then third album I believe was supposed to be Ultra 85. Or no, I think it's actually The Incredible True Story. I think the album is called Everybody. Is the second one? I did have to song an album. I think the album is called Everybody, and then the third one would have been Ultra 85. And then Ultra 85 never came. We got No Pressure. He released other projects in between that, were mixed. And generally speaking, it was mixed in critical acclaim. And then now we are finally getting the album that he's been teasing, Ultra 85. He's been talking about it for a long time. It's supposed to be this huge thing, and we're here. We're here after his retirement. He's no longer, stuck with a label. He no longer has to abide by anyone else's desires. This is a passion project. I think this is a passion project from Logic, and I think that comes through very much on this album. Now, I'm not an expert, so I'm sure there are people out there who could give you a more detailed breakdown of the lore behind Ultra 85 and this entire story, but I'm not here to do that. I don't even think that this album serves as a conclusion or more than a prequel. Go ahead, Jeremiah.
I can give you like a little, because I've listened to the albums that the story of the characters is based off of, right? And what surprised me is that this album, in the timeline, is actually a prequel to the first time.
Yeah, prequel, right? It has to be
prequel, right? Because in the album we first hear these guys, which they're not safe for me, they are already like friends. They're already like on their mission to find the planet, and their story ends with them, the Kai and the captain and Talia finding a new planet, and that's the end of the story. Whereas this album, shows us meeting these two characters, them getting used to each other, them talking about their interests in music and everything like that. And I think that's such an interesting choice for the last album, I think, in this story, to make that be a prequel for how they met, and kind of exploring what makes them tick and like why we're following them in the first place, which I think we'll get a little bit more into as talking about the album. But I think it was really well done. I think that I am excited to go back and like listen to all the skits and just get the full story, like in order from start to finish, because I've always really liked the voice actors for Kai, the Captain, and Talia. I think they are just really funny, and I just really add something to the narrative going on. But yeah, last small thing. I'm an art major, as we all know, and the cover artist for this album, Sam Spratt, has worked with Logic for a lot of his albums. He did the artwork for this, as well as the album where it is a reference to the Last Dinner of Last Supper really well. Yeah, everybody, thank you. As well as Bobby Tarantino too. Like, Sam Spratt is like such an amazing artist, and I think this last term for Ultra 85, I think is a great way to send off their collaboration together. I think Jonathan Pickles was a passion project. I think that definitely feels true to me. I think other projects from Logic, right here in some resume, other Logic projects I have felt have kind of fallen victim to this feeling of obligation through them. I would argue that in particular, for me at least, Bobby Tarantino 2 and No Pressure struggled with this feeling of feeling like it's kind of like sameness and obligation. Whereas I feel like Ultra 85 really feels like a return to form. Like it both feels nostalgic for Logic's old style, but at the same time, I would not mistake this for the same Logic that he was when he first started. Like in his lyrics, Logic talks about how he is like, he has a kid now. He struggled with like mental illness and like come on the other side, and all these different factors in life that have changed when he first started. And I do feel like those have kind of changed the trajectory of his sound and of the album in a way that does feel more mature to me in a lot of ways. We don't have the same thing where we have. I think there's a song on No Pressure that has a really excellent beat, a really excellent like lyrical first verse, and then becomes like a 7-minute long like therapy session about his mixed race identity, which was just a whole thing. And this album doesn't really have that. It still has like discussions of his problems with his past for sure, but I think this album does a much better job of like combining those and not letting them overshadow the song to the most part. And so I think it overall does a better job. I don't think it's the perfect album for me personally. I think some songs I think are a little bit like forgettable, and like others. But I think on the whole, just like summarize, I think it is a successful project and a worthy conclusion to this arc in his career.
I mean, I think this is the most mature Logic's ever sounded, and it's hot. It's fire.
Yeah.
I think that like, I mean, there's so much in the album that I feel like to discuss, but I have to start with the intro because I think the hottest intro I've heard on the album this year. Like we listened to some of the albums, that's the best intro we had. I've heard. That was crazy.
That's a 9-minute long intro song.
And he's spinning the whole 9 minutes. I'm about to go as soon as we finish. I'm about to go put it back on. I need that 9 minutes all over again. That 9 minutes is beautiful. The beat's good, the verses are good, and I think the subject matter throughout the whole album is good. You know, I'm sure, there are topics that he probably has discussed in previous works before, but I think he does it better than he has before. And I think he does it with a level of, like I said, maturity that he didn't have on previous albums. He discusses, you know, why he doesn't rap the same, why he's no longer wants to be, you know, so deep in the industry, why he's no longer signed, why he's, you know, quote unquote retired. Like this is the best I feel like he sounded since Under Pressure. So I'm happy with it.
I feel like he has a clarity of purpose in this, like that he didn't have since Under Pressure. I think he finally has again.
I agree with both you guys. I mean, I took some notes down, and what I wrote was I thought that he was driven, determined, and that he was, you know, really focused on the subjects that he picked. He definitely went into his Family Guy and Tarantino topics and all that stuff, but overall, I think you guys hit the head on the nail when you guys said that he's matured. He sounds the most mature that I've heard him over the last couple of years. Now, as far as the entirety of the album, I felt like I'm not gonna lie, there's a couple of songs that I would definitely skip that I just didn't think hit for me. What I found intriguing about this album was I found that there were some really good beats and there were some really good lyrics, but for some reason I couldn't find the soul of those songs. Like it's kind of hard to describe. Like let's say Ghost in the Machine. The beat is nice. His lyrics are tight, but it's almost like I'm missing the soul. There's just something missing that I can't really put in words, but when I listen to it, it's like I don't know why it just doesn't gravitate to my soul. And there was, like I say, I think like Fear for me was something I was like, didn't move me. Antidote was another song that didn't necessarily move me, but when it came down to like Teleport, I thought that was a dope beat. My favorite song of the album was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That was definitely hot. Paul Rodriguez, the intro, I agree with you guys. It's hot. It's dope. It's just too long for me. So that was just like kind of a couple of things that I felt about it.
I was just want to hear because I think normally you're the one that's kind of like, the album's too long, and this album is like an hour and 17 minutes. I'm curious.
It is.
If you felt that. If you felt similar to Father about the album's length.
I have an opinion on this already because I've thought about it already. The way I'm thinking about this is I actually would say, yes, this album is long, and it being long creates some moments that are a little bit less intriguing all the way through and a little bit less repeatable. But I think overall the composition of this album is so good, and I think it is so consistent in the sense that it never goes below, like, no track to me, if I want to rating a track this on that whole album on a 5 to 10 scale, nothing here is going below a 6. And that's only maybe a certain songs. And candidly, the way I've been thinking about it is this album is longer than, for point of reference, we really liked the Staples album, and that album, I mean, it was short and to the point. I think that this album is better than that album. I think it just happens to be longer, so it has weaker moments, but I think it's a better album because I think it's stronger throughout, and I think it maintains a good level throughout the length, despite it being long. I would maybe cut a track or two, but this is a passion project, so I kind of appreciate it a little bit more. He just put everything he wanted to put on it, and I think you can hear that in the album.
Got you. I don't know. I feel like it's somewhere in the middle, where I feel like I agree. There's no song I think is bad, right? There's no song I got out here from the most part that was like, I wish this song was not on here. And I do think on the whole it all comes together really well. But I do just think there are, I don't know, I think there are some songs that I would appreciate more if there wasn't a song that sounded similar to it later on in the album. And I don't mean that like so, like, it doesn't really affect my enjoying the album too much, but I do think that like you could have a song or two and it would enhance the rest of the songs in this album. But in the same way, it's kind of like, you know, this is Logic's last album, in the same way that Beyonce probably isn't going to do a Cowboy Carter 2. It's like, all right, yeah, I mean, like, put everything you want on this album, because it was just that's what I'm getting for you of this era. Then, like, I'd rather hear it than not hear it, you know?
I think it's funny that you mentioned Cowboy Carter 2, because what I was going to say before you asked me this question is that I feel like this is going to be a Cowboy Carter situation. I feel like when we get to the end of this final Thoughts season, Father's going to be like, you know what, guys, I was wrong. Ultra 85 was amazing all throughout. It was beautiful. You know, on those first couple of listens, it just didn't catch me. You know, when I found the soul in Ghost in the Machine, like, I think you're going to see the vision with some more time to let the album marinate.
I don't know, because you know what, the thing about this album, or Logic in general, there's certain topics he's talked about more than once, right? Yes. What was the song where he talks about being biracial? You know what I mean? In retrospect, it's not the first time he's talked about it. He talked about it with more conviction this time, and I understand being biracial. I get it 100%. But you know, I swear, I think I've heard about it in at least, I want to say maybe 4 songs where he talks about being biracial and the challenges of being white and black, etc., etc. So to hear it again on this album, it's kind of like, all right, this subject matter, I hate to say it's getting old, but you know, coming from him talking about the challenges, it's like, and it wasn't really a new spin on it. Like, it wasn't like a different concept or a different formula. It was just kind of the same challenges of being biracial. So you know, go ahead.
I would disagree that there's no new spin on it. I think maybe there's not a new spin to it, but I disagree in the sense that I think with the maturity, he's more vulnerable than ever about it this time around. I think he's more real in the fact and the pain that it caused him growing up. Like, I think in previous albums when he talked about it, it was like, yeah, I'm biracial, fuck you if you don't, you know, fuck with that. Like, that's what I am, and that's what I'm gonna stand by it. But I think in this album, he's like, he admits, like, yeah, it hurt me, it bothered me hearing this, you know, it bothered me hearing this throughout my career. And you know, I feel a certain type of way about it, but that's just, you know, a part of growing up is realizing and reflecting on it and being able to speak about it more candidly than he was in previous tapes. And I think to your point, Father, I don't disagree that he's talking about a lot of the same subject matter, but like to compare this to, let's say, for example, The Death of Slim Shady, where Eminem talks about some of the same things. Eminem talks about some of the same things on other albums, but I felt like on other albums there were times where he did it better. I think on this album, Logic talks about some of the same things, but he does it the best all the way through on this album. And I think that's why I'm a big fan of this album.
I think
I can respect that.
This album makes me like the Slim Shady less almost.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
Oh, you agree with me? Okay, I thought that was just me.
No.
What
I
about
agree
it?
100%.
This album makes the Slim Shady album worse. Is that the
I think
the
you
existence of this album brings down the value of the Slim Shady album?
Yeah, I do think so. I feel like the whiter side of Logic just brings down the stock value on Eminem. That's all. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just like when I listened to some of the songs, I was like, okay, there's Eminem, there's MJK, and there's Logic, and I'm like, nah, Logic's got the better album of all those guys. You know what I mean?
Oh, good point.
I mean, one, I agree wholeheartedly. I think too. I think on this show so far, this season 2, we've covered artists who are kind of veterans in their career, like Lupe, Kanye, Eminem, Logic, right? Who are kind of in the career talking about kind of taking stock of their career so far and using that to inform their music. And I think out of those 4, I think Logic's album does the best of grappling with his past discography, but not letting that overwhelm the new stuff he's making right now. Whereas I feel like, for instance, Kanye, Eminem, both, I think in retrospect, were kind of letting their past stuff really kind of take over the identity of the new stuff. And I think Lupe's album is a whole lot of other problems. So I think of the 4, I think Logic is the most successful. I think it's in part because I feel like he has the most clarity of purpose. I want to make this because I want to, but I'm not gonna be involved to the man I used to be. I am excited more about my son now than I am my music, and that's fine, and I am. But it's just being transparent about that. I think all those different elements make an album that feels really self-assured in the ways that other albums did.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he talks about it on the song "Love Me," but I just feel like this album is not looking for validation from the critics. He's not looking for validation from anybody. This is just, he was in the studio with him and his guys, and this is what we made, and he's like, I think it's hot. I think he thinks he comes from the soul. I think the whole album, it's funny because Father's point that he couldn't find the soul on some of the songs. I'll say that I think this whole album is coming from his soul, this is just, like I said, that clarity of purpose is there off of that album. And I admire him admitting that his motivation for rapping has changed. His motivation for rapping used to be, an escape or to make money or to, get out of the struggle. But now his motivation is just like, this beat's dope. I gotta really especially film this. I want to make something for me, and that's his new motivation. And I respect him for being just candid and honest about that throughout the album.
Yeah. On a complete tangent, the drum beat on "Love Me," fire.
It's a great album. Everything about the album fire. You don't understand. I think for me, the intro of this album is just so good that that we needed this album to exist so I could get that 9-minute track. So that album itself just has to be good because it is the reason why I now have that track.
Before this album, my favorite intro song on the album was "Mural" by Lupe Fiasco, which is an 8-minute long song, and it's just him rhyming. And this song being 9 minutes is the only song I've ever heard to rival that song in terms of both length and quality in the album that it's in. So I think that speaks a lot for Logic's skill in this moment in time.
I love that song. Everything about it, just in the intro from them talking, I can't believe I'm doing this shit to the beat dropping. It's just good. It's good.
I give Logic a lot of credit because he can spit. You know what I mean? I can sit here and nitpick, the beats and say I didn't feel the soul in certain songs. But the one thing I won't say is that he's a bad lyricist or that he can't rhyme his ass off. He is a very talented MC, and he's not going to be in my top 5 or anything like that. But he's a well-respected MC that deserves his flowers for sure.
Yeah, I think Logic could have ended up. I think he still could at the end of the day. But I think the Logic not being in my top 5 is probably held back from some of those bad projects he dropped. If you could just cut out some of those bad projects and it was just a 4-album run, I think I'd view him more favorably, like holistically. But because there's like Supermarket and Bobby Tarantino 2 that kind of muddy the waters, it's kind of hard for me to give him a high spot because there were some albums that were really bad, honestly.
Oh, I forgot
Hey,
about
number-
it.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say the last song of the album, "Thank You for Believing in
Yeah.
Me." It sounded like either Childish Gambino or Frank Ocean, or there was someone else that just like maybe Khaled. I don't know. It's just he sounded so much like them. I was hoping one of you guys would have caught that.
No, I didn't catch that. I like the song, but I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it definitely gave me vibes of either Childish Gambino or like a Frank Ocean, or maybe even, like I said, Khaled. So, I don't know, that one was pretty smooth and a good way to end the album.
Jeremiah, what's your on here you were gonna tangent off into?
I had a tangent about the narrative of the skits of this album.
Okay, that was kind of where I wanted to go. So that's why.
Because I think on a critical level, real quick, I think compared to the other albums that the characters appear on, I think here the dialogue feels the most not forced. I won't say forced, but it feels the most almost over the top a little bit when
feel
we
like-
talk about it. Yeah, like
But the word that I feel is intentional. Like I feel like the words. I feel like there's a very these are very intentional conversations that he's throwing in between these songs.
I mean, I think for me, if I think about like dialogue, right? I think every single piece of dialogue you write should have intention. I think these conversations do that really well. But I think where sometimes conversations have trouble is when I feel like the conversation only exists to serve your intention. And I feel like there were some conversations in here that I could not imagine two people having organically without being written for the intention of like whatever else you're trying to write,
Yeah.
I think in particular, they were talking about how planet Earth got destroyed, and it was like that exposition, and I was like, okay, all right, I see you're doing logic. But there were other conversations they had, like there was one that they're talking about, like anxiety, which I think was fine. A conversation that I did think was fun. Oh, you know what it was? The conversation they had about the favorite director. I was like,
Okay.
this conversation is written in such a way where it is funny, but I also don't believe that this conversation really happened by the end of it.
Why? What about that conversation you don't believe?
It was specifically this, like, I felt like the captain was reacting to Kai as if Kai was saying something different. Kai just was in the album. Basically talking to her director. Kai is like,
Yes.
oh, I'm a Tarantino guy. Captain's like, I'm a Nolan guy. And Kai's
Yes.
like, what the hell, man? Like, why Nolan? And Captain's just like, oh man, we disagree. And I'm like, bro, like you're not engaging in the question though. He's not saying he's not like.
I agree. He kind of called him a hater. He kind of called him a hater. He kind of like wrote him off like, I just happen to feel that way, and like you should respect that. That was kind of what he said, and it was like,
Yeah.
that really wasn't how the interaction was going. Like you guys were having a back and forth, and he was like, well, why do you have that opinion? And he was like, well, I have my own opinion, man. Like, leave me alone. I respect it. And it was like,
He said you ain't got to be a dick about it.
yeah. And it was like he wasn't being he was being very respectful about that.
Yeah, he was flabbergasted, which I was also like, what? He's like, nah, man, and I feel like that conversation does not go that way unless you want him to say the line, "Can we disagree?" Which I feel like is what he wanted to have said in that skit, right?
Okay,
And so like that's the part where I do feel like just make you feel other pass of that dialogue just to make it feel more naturalistic and like not feel like it right, because I feel like there was a disconnect there for sure.
I love the dialogue where they're talking about. I think there was about AI specifically, where what was it? I think he was saying that like, yeah, I have AI to do whatever. And he's like, using AI, man? He's like, yeah. And then he's like, wasn't AI the reason why all 8 nations had a nuclear showdown or something? And I was like,
Wait, no. AI makes the best what kind of steak? It makes some kind of steak.
Yes. It made the best steak.
So,
And he's like, isn't that the reason we had the nuclear standoff across 8 countries or whatever? And I was like, damn. But the steak. I thought it was funny. I thought the skits were funny. But I think that's right. I think you're valid in that, Jeremiah. That the conversations were a little bit forced. I think forced is a fair word to use.
Yeah, but look, I used to like them. I was happy to hear these guys back again for this journey. In a tangent, I was sad to realize that forget her name, the R name for the AI. It was Rachel or something.
Rosalind.
Thank you, Rosalind. And I was sad to realize that Rosalind's dead.
Rosalind's dead, and I mean,
Rosalind gets replaced by Talia super quick after that happens in the timeline.
That is what the robot says too. Yeah,
because they said that she's outdated.
Yeah, she's outdated.
When we first meet Kai, and then in the album they come from, the captain's like, hey, it's a new person, it's Talia, and it's like, oh, cool, But now we know, hey, Rosalind was a full functioning, almost like person, and was gone. She's just deceased.
Okay, so since you guys are talking about skits, I did have a question, but I just didn't think you guys was that into the skits. So they talk about Adam, right? Which was the I don't want to say AI robot or whatever, but I remember Kai uploaded all this information into him, and then when they got back to Babel, it was kind of like, we got to deactivate this guy, right? And then I don't remember the captain's name, or whatever, but he was kind of like, man, he can keep a keep a secret.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he can keep a secret. So I was wondering, like that seemed to me when he said that sounded ominous. Like, dude, you're gonna cause a problem down the line. So I don't know if you guys had any insight or intel.
I had that same thought as you, but as far as I know, this was the only time we've met this robot before. He didn't show up at all in the Incredible True Story, for the most part. So whatever role that Adam plays, at least if it is a role that I'm just missing it. So maybe the real logic is out there that know where Adam fits into the timeline. It's still funny to talk about, by the way. But as far as the Incredible True Story, Adam is not in there at all. It's just Kai, the captain, and Talia. So I don't know. But I agree.
You're right.
Now that we're talking about it, the skits are there for a reason, right? And I feel what do you guys think the thematic purpose of these skits were in this album? And do you think they serve the album well? Or would you rather have come down, or what do you think about the
purpose?
Yeah.
What's talking
about music and love, do you think what do you think they were kind of helping to do in the album as a whole, I guess?
I felt that some of the skits just brought made you think a little bit. I think it kind of propelled you to think about the subject matter they're talking about, such as AI, such as saying that Russia attacked these countries and that's why they were looking for a new planet, and et cetera, et cetera. So some of the things I felt that the skits were thought-provoking skits, right? But Planet Death, where they talk about the video game, I thought that to me was just a waste of time. That's just my opinion. I was I didn't really care for that one. And then, like I said, the other skits I just thought were there to kind of get you to think a little bit. That's my interpretation.
Got you.
I don't know what thematic purpose. I don't know if they serve I think Father might have hit the nail on the head. I don't know if there's an overarching theme that connects all the skits. But I do feel it's an interesting one, because I feel there's something about I have a thought in my head, and I guess I'd have to listen to them more to see if there's any validity to the thought, which is I feel there is a theme in this album and the skits about discovery, and specifically maybe self-discovery, or I don't know about self-discovery, because at the end when they're talking, one of the quotes that the captain says is just the quote of anything that you're interested in, you can find someone else interested in the same thing. So it's that makes me think it's less about self-discovery, but maybe that still does play into that theme. But I think that there's definitely a theme of discovery, and I think that them going on a little journey, I guess overarching them going on a little journey, even if the little journey was just about them talking and getting to know each other, does play into that theme.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think that it kind of is the point. It's like to have them like bonding and realizing their interests and talking about anxiety. I think that like human connection is kind of the point.
Maybe it's like the white side of logic and the black side of logic, and they're just like getting to know each other, and that's why you got two dudes.
That's certainly a hypothesis for sure. Oh, by the by. No, sorry. What's up?
No, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
I keep forgetting about this. I'm gonna call out the cool Easter egg in the skits. In that the last line, name of the captain, Quentin Thomas. Quentin Thomas, his last line of the album and then the thing is "See you on the next one, Space Cowboy," and that is a reference to the old anime Cowboy Bebop, which is like very popular. Yeah. And the voice actor for the main character of that show, Spike, is the same actor that plays Quentin Thomas.
Oh shit! No way.
Yeah, so it's like a fun
cool.
little. Yeah,
that is fun.
I think Logic being an anime nerd really shows in this project for sure. But I think he's able to make that happen.
That's cool.
Yeah. What I was going to say earlier was there was a line. I don't know why we're all fascinated by the skits. I'm surprised I remember most of the lines from the skit, number one. But they referenced their age difference, and I was trying to figure out like what is important about that. I was like, he was like, "You're old." He's like, "No, I'm only 42," and he's like, "I'm 38," and some shit like that. Where you kind of like implied that he was too young to be a captain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting. I felt like after talking to you guys now, I agree with you. I feel like the skits, obviously that they are there for a reason, but it's almost like they're trying to get you to go down a rabbit hole, but it's going to take you to figure out what it is they want you to find or whatever.
Yeah.
I think. Oh.
No, go ahead.
I actually think that there's supposed to be that we're supposed to get more to the story. My understanding, and I guess someone can fact check this if they want. But my understanding is there's going to be maybe like a short story or comic that Logic is planning on releasing that to go along with this Ultra 85 story.
Oh, I mean, I'd read it. I'm there for it.
He did something that at a supermarket, so it's not like too crazy to think he's gonna do it. But I feel like it's one of those things where like an artist will say they'll talk about it, but then like they don't. It doesn't actually come to fruition, and like it was just a thing that his fans never forgot about type thing. Yeah. I don't know because I haven't been following him that closely.
That's fair.
According to what I just looked up, new number one New York Times bestselling author Logic comes highly anticipated second novel set in the far future as two friends uncover the utopian planet Paradise.
There you go.
Because they found that planet at the end of Kerbal True Story.
No, yeah. They find it at the end of Kerbal Story, and then everybody is a story of them walking through the planet.
Yes.
And so, according to this, if you buy the book today, it doesn't ship until September 17th, 2024.
Oh, okay. That's close enough.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
Pretty good.
It sounds legit.
All right. There you go.
Let's put the pre-order for our next show, Vinyl Thoughts Novels. Novel Thoughts. Damn. That's the
Novel Thoughts.
I'm good at this. Hire me for your name and shit. But I think, in summary, I think you could listen to Under Pressure, Kerbal True Story, Everybody Then This as like a 4-song journey and have a good time with Logic, like all the way through. I think this album deserves to be one of his better, if not one of his best works in his discography.
Cool. All right, so what do you rank the album?
I think so. What'd you say?
4.5.
Oh. I say 4. I say solid 4. It's only because there weren't a lot of like radio hits, for lack of a better word. I think a lot of songs that I heard and was like immediately like played them in my head a lot, right? But like still overall really good. But like I think that was the one element that I really wanted from this album. I didn't like it.
I can't believe that This is the one time you want to talk about radio hits. We listened to a full-ass Rhapsody album, featuring Keith Chief, and you were like, man, this album's so good. There was not a single radio hit on that thing. And you want to tell me that this album's getting the four because there's no radio hit. You are insane.
Whoa, what the why is that? I think the mouse is getting straight in this discussion about Rhapsody, actually. We talked about like every other album. Because I think Rhapsody albums has radio hits, personally, is my whole thing.
No, they play what is on the one of those days. They're playing that on the radio.
There you go.
From the Rhapsody album, I thought.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Whereas no one remembers that Chief Keef hit.
Nobody. What? He released an album?
I actually think that's inaccurate.
Which one?
I think Chief Keef's album, was that last year? No, that's this year.
I know. I'm just joking. Like, did we talk about it?
I think it's still doing. I think it's still doing well. I think it was a hit. I think it was a success for Chief Keef. I guess they put it like that. I think both albums were a success for both artists. But I just think it's crazy that this is the album where Jamal was talking about radio hits. You've never once been like what musical had a radio hit? Like, come on, dude. Like, what is this?
Oh, In the Heights has 2 different radio hits. By the way, actually. And actually, now we're talking about it. What's this we're talking about? Oh, different subject matter. When we listen to a full Drake album, this is full of his the same shit over.
I gave this a higher rating. I give this a higher rating than Drake album. I'm consistent. This is better than Drake album.
When did we talk about a Drake album?
When the beef was happening.
Okay, all right, there you go. All right.
And that was some samey shit.
I just can't believe radio hits is the thing you're gonna pin down Logic. This guy may have went on to make a passion project, and you're gonna be over here like, well, he didn't make a radio hit.
He sounds like DJ Academics right now.
All right,
no radio hit.
Fine, 4.5. I've been bullied into changing my score. There, you happy now?
Don't change your score, because I'm not giving it.
This is why partners don't make passion projects anymore, Jemiah, because people like you come around and say there's no radio hit.
Listen, it's like an 18-song guy. We can at least one fucking radio hit on it. Like, it's not a good. It's not like a 4
hold on. I feel like 18 songs is disingenuous. Like, they're like 4 skits. Come on, man. Let's Logic a break. Logic's been through, according to this album, Logic's been through a lot. Okay, that's just gonna break. He didn't have a radio hit. Come on. I don't think I'll make what's that? I don't want to say this song, but I can't think of the actual name of them. I can't think of the name of the song, but it's a number. What's the number? No one knows. What's the name of the song? I can't even reference it without saying that. That was the biggest hit. The Suicide Hot. The Suicide Hot.
1-800.
Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah.
That was the biggest hit. But like, I can't. Yeah, that was. You didn't want to go back to that, like.
That's fair. But that song changed lives, though. That song, the time an impact.
It saved lives. It saved lives, son.
Yeah.
So radio hits are good for society.
All right. Well, whatever.
To be clear. I don't think I need. I just think they're. I think I wanted one catchier song. That's it.
So now you're like Under Pressure, right?
Yeah, I did.
What's the radio hit on Under Pressure?
Under Pressure?
Get out of here. No, you're done.
What do you mean? I've been feeling under pressure. I can to this day, remember the beat track. I've been working hard. I've been playing for God.
What do you define as a radio hit? What are you defining as a radio? If you want radio hits, Drake has an album full of them. I'm just saying.
Oh my God.
I think when I said radio hits, I misspoke. Because I do not care about those on the actual radio or not. But
because that was your wording.
I misspoke. I actually thought you'd be something that is I just felt really fucking catchy, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, I'll give you that. There's no earworm in this album. Well, I think the first track has an ear. I think for me the first track is actually that. But I think that's fair to say. I think that sounds better than it's a radio hit. Because I didn't sound like you. I don't know. It sounded like you just have a beef against Logic, and all of a sudden the radio matters. You're like, well, I would sign you, Logic, but you didn't have a radio hit. Like, come on.
You can't.
I agree with Jeremiah. It did not have a radio hit, so I agree with him. So
it didn't. But why can't judge the album based off the number of radio hits? Since when Logic's on this album saying "fuck the algorithm," Father, you were huge on "fuck the algorithm" 2 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, we're all here back talking about some radio hits and numbers. Come on.
Wait. That's just what That's what Jeremiah said. I'm just.
You agreed.
I didn't-
You just agreed. The first thing you said was, "I agree with Jeremiah." I'm like, what? I'm trying to defend logic here because this is crazy. The slander he's getting on this episode.
You might say it's illogical.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, hey, Jeremiah came around and gave it a 4.5. I ain't giving it a 4.5. I'm giving it a 3.8. It ain't worth a 4. Yeah, I don't think it's as high as a 4, but I think it's way better than a 3.5. So that's just my opinion.
Better than the Eminem album?
Do I think it's better than the Eminem album? Yes.
What
do we give Eminem?
I thought you gave Eminem a 4.
I didn't give Eminem a 4.
Oh, you didn't? Okay, never mind.
We can fact check this. We have this on record. We can check.
And the editor.
I know, right?
At least
Father
I
gives
don't
it a
think.
5.
No, I think we gave it collectively. It may have gotten a 4, but I don't remember giving it a 4.
I think you know what? I think it's funny how you guys said this, that the existence of this album makes the Eminem album worse. But now that we're talking about it, I'm like, damn, I wish you would have rated that album lower. Like now that we're talking about it, you're right. I would have given that one a little bit of a lower rating.
Oh man,
you talked me up from not rating this all episode too. You told us
Yeah, but then Logic came out and talked about his life and his growth so much better than Eminem did that I realized he wasn't even saying nothing on that album.
That's what I was saying.
You should have said that. You should have argued your point better.
All right, you know what?
Oh man.
Lesson learned. I have my
This is
lesson.
a podcast and a debate show. Okay, man, we are serious about this.
So
that-
we
that
agree
being
to disagree.
Absolutely. And you know what, too? Sometimes you gotta fight for what you believe in, man. So if you believe that Nolan is a piece of is not great, like, you know, respectfully, say that shit. Defend your guy, man. Respectfully.
Respectful.
Anyway, collectively, on average, we gave Logic's album a 4.3.
4.3. I guess that's fair.
That makes it lower than something else. I think that makes it lower than Bando, which is weird to me, actually.
No, I think Bando had a nice. I think Bando, did what it's supposed to do.
I guess that's fair.
I
think
do
we
think
get
this-
to the end of the season. I think we should really sit that's it with ourselves and we decide like what the ultimate hierarchy is of albums.
Yes,
Apparently
we
we have
should.
radio hits.
Because I think we're giving this album a lower score than other albums that I think were, I don't want to say worse, but weren't as good as this album. A higher score.
Father, you know that's your fault, right?
That is you giving it the 3.8. You are the one bringing the score down for this album.
It only deserves a 3.5. I'm just being generous.
That's wild. That's actually
You know
wild.
what? I actually now want a spread. Now I want a spreadsheet. I want to see what Father's rated all the other albums. Because if this is a 3.5, like we really got to go back and reevaluate some of these other numbers. Okay, the scale isn't scaling right.
But for now, I think that is it for us here at Vinyl Thoughts. Check out our merch online at crossford.la.com. Check out our next pop-up, which we'll post on our Instagram and on our community post on YouTube. And with that, we will catch you on the flip side. Peace.
Peace.
You know what? Next
And we're
episode,
grading on the curve.
Crossfader mid-season special. We're gonna bring out the spreadsheet and just really.
We gotta do an album tier list real quick so we can readjust our.
Oh yeah, no, because we can move some shit around.